Folks, over the past few months, we've seen the unfolding mess that is our state's budget come into place. After meetings, press hearings, special sessions, and now a lawsuit, many are wondering what the hell is going on at the state capitol. Here to clear this up, we have our very own Aron Woldeslassie in a special session of Bill Review.
We'll rule the government.
Aron Bill Review.
Hello, everyone. Tonight, I will be telling you the tale of the boondoggle 2018-2019 budget. The saga starts in 2016. Back then, the budget was much like the nation's president, strong and in the black. Who knew he was popular? The state was lucky to have ended the year with a projected $1.4 billion surplus for the 2018-2019 budget, making it the 8th consecutive year that this has happened. And to make things even better, last February, that projection jumped to $1.65 billion, thrilling lawmakers and arousing CPAs across the state. Now, when it comes to the surpluses like these, people think we just have a lot of money, when in reality, the surplus is actually an educated guess of how much money Minnesota will have in the future after covering important costs. So when economists look to the next 2 years, they see $1.6 billion unspent dollars, whereas all I see is another Fast and the Furious movie, and, if we're lucky, Carly Rae Jepsen's next album. Yes, call me definitely. You might be asking why our projections are so big. Well, this surplus was thanks to a variety of things. Changes in the state's healthcare spending, increased taxes, higher job rates, an overall improved economy, and the state straight up giving up on Nicolette's construction. All right? Yeah. No, Mary, we are not going to make it after all. No. It looks like someone dropped a bomb in Nicolette, and the only survivor was the Dakota Jazz Club. When politicians saw the projected surplus, they had new and very differing ideas on how to write the upcoming budget. At the initial budget meeting, Governor Dayton looked at the House and Senate and went, "All right, girl. State's rolling in moolah. I'm going to treat you right. First things first, everybody's going to Red Lobster." Yeah. All right. Then all the baby boys and all the baby girls are getting free breakfast and free preschooling. Then I'm going to check out your checkup by creating a free Minnesota healthcare option. All right? Yeah. And finally, Red Lobster one more time. Yeah. Dayton do it twice. Why? Because I'm Mark Dayton. I literally got stacks on stacks on stacks, and then some. Then he dropped the mic and moonwalked out of there like a fiscally liberal boss. And I can't be certain, but I'm pretty sure everybody became pregnant after it. And for a minute, everybody was stunned. Everybody except for House Speaker Kurt Doudt. To that, Doudt said, "Boo! Get off the stage, old man! You frowny SOB! This budget is out of line! We want tax cuts, property tax cuts, business tax cuts, estate cuts, social security cuts, health cuts, sales cuts, cigar cuts, retail cuts, pay cuts, food cuts, coal cuts, deep cuts, health cuts, hair cuts, shirt cuts, deep cuts, cuts! It's cut and dry, so cut that shit out." Right. I like my budget meetings like I like my horror movies. One man slashing away while people beg him to stop. Kurt then ended his speech by playing the national anthem on an electric guitar and high-fived a bald eagle in a pink polo named Chadwick or Blaine or Tommy or whatever your high school's bully's name was. And that's essentially how that first meeting went down. Dayton wanting the surplus to be spent for public services and Republicans just wanting to cut taxes. So for several weeks, the two sides went back and forth on key policy issues while talking about the budget, with Dayton going, "All right, son, I want 3 big things out of this. Universal pre-K, more money for colleges, and Red Lobster for everybody." Yeah. To which Doudt replied, "We're not going to spend more money. We're going to cut $1.15 billion in taxes. We're going to stop cities from increasing the minimum wage, and maybe we'll go to Applebee's." And Dayton wasn't having any of that. Applebee's is trash. We all know that, right? But the equally important part were the proposed tax cuts. Dayton believed cuts that big weren't realistic for the continued health of the state. As the successor of the Pawlenty era, Dayton knew firsthand how quickly the state can fall in an economic downturn, and was afraid that this might happen with these implemented tax cuts. So, with the eloquence and gravitas only afforded a United States governor, he replied, "Fuck you. Fuck the GOP, fuck the House, fuck the Senate, fuck tax cuts, fuck the 1%, fuck minimum wage, fuck Reagan, fuck Fox News, and fuck Applebee's." And with that, lawmakers went into special session. Governor Dayton called a special session right on the heels of ending the legislative session in order to avoid another government shutdown. If any of you remember, in the summer of 2011, the government shut down after similar budget talks between Dayton and Republicans fell apart. During that summer, the state lost around $40 million. Tens of thousands lost their job. And this is true, a young Aron Woldeslassie got to second base for the very first time. Yeah. So, yeah, it evened out in the end, so yeah. After the governor called for the session, state reps and legislators were forced into an overnight meeting to straighten out the budget. It was there that Dow called on Dayton to compromise. "Listen to me, you old, 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 old man. We're going to cut taxes by $1 billion. We're not going to increase them to pay for transportation, and we're going to make it easier to get a teaching license." Right? To that, Dayton laughed. "Listen to me, you knockoff Shooter McGavin. We're not going to cut taxes for Minnesota millionaires or premium cigars. At this point, you're not even hiding the fact that you're protecting fat cats. What's next? A cut on lasagna and Mondays?" It was here that Dow did the laughing. "If you don't sign this budget, the Department of Revenue will lose its funding and 1,300 people will lose their jobs." And that's true. You see, much like the classic Happy Gilmore bad guy, Shooter McGavin, Dow in the House did something sneaky in the second act. While giving the governor a bill that would fund many of the state programs that he wanted, they included a provision he didn't see, one that would defund the Department of Revenue if a budget wasn't settled. And with the governor forced into a corner that he couldn't avoid, he signed 10 tax bills that would cut taxes by $650 million, increase education spending by 2% per student, afford $50 million for statewide pre-K, and none of it had to do with Red Lobster. Yeah, it was a good joke. Yeah. A government shutdown was avoided, and no one was hurt. And in that moment, Dayton did what any of us would do. He wrote a letter. "Dear Kurt, you really hurt me, man. There are only two things I love in this world: liberal budgets and typewriters." Ding! "But just to show that there are no hard feelings, I've decided to give you an adorable puppy. His name's Payback. You want to know why his name's Payback? Because Payback's a bitch." All right? That's right. After finalizing the budget for the entire state, Dayton pulls a fast one. Using vague constitutional powers given to the governor, Dayton was able to activate a line veto that defunded the entire House and Senate for 2 years. The financial upset changed everything. Because in one move, Dayton gave an ultimatum that stated, either give me back the puppy or change the budget. And what's more, with the rest of the budget signed into law, the state would avoid a shutdown, saving millions of dollars, thousands of jobs, and the likelihood of me getting to second. Yeah, it's hard. Republican lawmakers sued the governor, claiming that the dog was theirs and that the veto was a breach of executive powers. A district judge agreed, and the budget has been set ever since, thus ending our saga. Ding. For now. This has been Bill Review.
We'll rule the government.